Hey, another week. Stomp Strong Show, episode 18. Saad, how you doing this week?
Life is good, man. As always, life is good for me.
We had an interesting, I think maybe it's been 2 weeks since we've done it, or a week and a half, but it's been a busy week and a half for me, that's for sure. And I see you're still doing 3-a-days.
Well, I don't actually train hard all 3 sessions. Usually I just do 2 sessions, but the school that I own, we offer 3 different sessions on most days. And it's just training hard, getting ready for the Pan Ams, because I got less than 2 weeks before I go to Florida to compete for the Pan American Championships, and I'm excited about it.
That's a huge deal, and I know we've talked about that regular, and that's been very pervasive in your life, and it's still on the school group page. I'm up every morning at 5 in the morning, and people are talking at least that early on the group page. At least that early it starts, and sometimes I post pictures of me on the bike, and you guys are all going to go do jiu-jitsu. So everyone's super dedicated right now and super busy with it, and that's an amazing thing.
Because what happened at my school was, they've been asking for a 6 a.m. class. And I'm like, I'm not getting up at 6 a.m. I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. to come teach a 6 a.m. class. Just not doing it. After I retired from the Navy 2 years ago, I'm like, dude, the Navy made me wake up at 5 a.m. for 33 years, roughly 6 a.m. I'm like, now that I'm retired, I ain't getting up that early. I'm more of a night person, so I can stay up to 2 or 3 in the morning. But
we text routinely that late.
Sure.
Sometimes it's sometimes we text real late.
Yeah, but getting up at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. that's just not my thing. And so one of the black belts that trains with us is like, I'll come in and I'll teach the class, because that fits his schedule better. I'm like, okay, man, if you want to do that, cool. So we're not even advertising it on our webpage that we're doing a 6 a.m. class Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, because at any time, whenever he says, hey, I'm not coming in no more, I got something else going on in life, then it's like, okay, I didn't advertise this as a special. This is just a free benefit for the students. We didn't increase the prices or anything.
How many classes is that a week now, potentially, that you could go to?
Oh, that would be that would probably take, because, let me see, we offer Monday through Saturday a 11:30 class. So that's 6 classes. And then Monday through Friday, a 7 p.m. class. So that takes us to 11. And then Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, we take a 6 a.m. class. So that takes us to 15.
Yeah.
And then also, we do a 10 a.m. judo class on Sunday. So 16. So there's 16 classes we do a week.
And if I remember right, tuition's like $110 a month?
Yeah.
So it's $110 a month for 16 classes a week. That is just ridiculous. I mean, and people take 16 classes a week.
Yeah, especially guys like Anthony or Dayton. They're in almost every single class that we offer.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys that take it really serious.
And that's why their jiu-jitsu is amazing. It's like they just come train all the time. And, so for us, it's the same price. But, the difference between, my school and the way I run it versus, my competitors in town or other schools in town, because I don't really look at them as competitors. It's just they're sort of kindred spirits that also run Brazilian jiu-jitsu schools, is, I have my pension and my investments from 33 years in the Navy, where their sole source of income is running their school. So, they have to charge more for their services.
Sure.
And they have to do other things to generate income. Where, for me, it's this is what me and my wife do. And if the school only broke even, then that's fine. Because I just need something to do in retirement, because all my bills are paid for between my pension and my investment. So,
and you're such a young guy, Saad, at 52, to have 32 years into something and that kind of like security of it, right? When we talk, right, a lot of our talk is about like the guns and what this would happen and this happened in the news and why is this going on, and we talk a lot about like defensive scenarios for some reason and security, right? So I think we're both really cautious about being not overwhelmed with anything. Like I've never seen us stressing out too much about anything really, because we both kind of cover our bases really well. And to know that when you're coming in to have this dream with your wife to go outside of your full-time position that's 32 years in the Navy, that this is what I do. I'm a Navy guy no matter what. Sure. I've heard the stories about the dude who didn't treat you well for years, and the son's asking you the questions, and you're explaining sometimes you eat dirt, buddy. Right. That is what life is. And if I eat dirt for the next 5 years, then I move on, and this guy's going to be a dick his whole life. I got nothing to do with that. Yeah. But I'm going to eat the dirt. So Saad's telling me these stories for the last year. We've been hanging out all the time. And I know the Navy and the security of it was so huge for you as a kid, where you were when you went in. It was so big for you to have I know what I'm doing now. And I know what I'm going to do next week. And I know next week I got food and a place to stay, and all I got to do is get up at 5 in the morning and be productive, and they're paying me for this, and I'm going to go to school when they tell me to go to school, and I'm going to be the best warrior I can be, and the best Navy man I can be, and I'm going to do this for 20, not 10, not 20, it's 32. 33. I'm 33. That's in for like 19 now, right?
That's awesome.
And I look at that and I go, God, man, 19. Yeah. And you did 30, and you're 52. Right. So to get out this fast and to be so young in life and to have that security, you are in a position where you can bring a product that is as good or better, and it can be argued whatever about the product, but you're bringing it at a cost that's very, very cost friendly for the participant. And if you don't know, he brings full geese for everybody. I'm still running off your geese when I go. I haven't bought a thing. So, and I've been there for months and months and months. So they have full gi, full everything. And it's just an awesome place. And I became, it's weird. We became friends through the jiu-jitsu, and then it never happened because of injuries. Yeah. And my injuries are so significant now that I've had to slow down everything. I can't really responsibly take a job right now because of injuries. I'm at the point where I know I'm going in December for a surgery. They're going to go in for 45 minutes, and then I'm going to be laid up for like 3 months like this. And you can't, and he goes a slow recovery. He doesn't want me messing with it at all. So a couple times I'm going to hang it, and that's it. And it's kind of weird because I've been going so hard really hard since, we'll say, February, when I got my foot back and I started hiking the creek and really taking advantage of my surroundings here. And Saad, I have this weird thing going on right now, right, where I can go to the creek and hike a mile or two, and then I can go the next day and wait, and then I can go the third day and hike a mile or two with the dog, and then I can go the next day and wait. But if I go to, we'll say, Home Depot and walk around for an hour at Home Depot, my feet are on fire. And then if I'm doing like sub work, which I am right now, I go to a school and they put you in a room here, and then they put you here for a duty when you normally would be like off for that period, for a planning period, but you don't get no planning period because you're a sub. So you go to duty to here, and next thing I know, I'm doing like 10,000 steps, and my feet are on fire so bad. I'm coming home from work, and I'm like telling Beth, I'm like, it's over. There's no more teaching. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I can't walk. They're done. I don't know what happened. I don't know at what step count it is, but my feet are like on fire and jello all at the same time right now, and I can't even tell you what's going on with them. They hurt so bad, and it feels like to me I'm not going to walk for another month right now. Yeah. Wow. And the arthritis is just insane, and the pain. So she's like, well, we're setting up an appointment with your doctor. Sure. And I'm like, well, he's not going to be able to do nothing for this. This is chronic degenerative foot problems, man. I got some serious foot issues that have been going on since I was born. Yeah. And they've been rebuilt so many times that all of the areas around the joints and stuff have broken down where they did the fusions. and all of the bone structures crushed down to like my heel area, and it just doesn't work. And it's just all pounded in like bone area, and the pain is just. And I haven't seen pain like this since I was a kid because I had never had to push. When I was at my other school as a teacher, I was in my room. I would sit on my desk. I had 6 kids in front of me. I was the king of the court. It was a really different scenario. It's really weird. So it's like a scary scene. So I go back the next day, and I don't go to work this next day, and I take it off, and I take the weekend off, and I go back on a Monday, and I do it again, and I get and it's not as bad, but it's like 7,000 steps. So somewhere between like 7,000 and 10,000 steps, my feet are like, I'm done.
Right.
This is it. This game is over. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what we're playing anymore.
Yeah.
I'm finished. And this is really scary because I've just lost as much weight as you can really expect to lose.
Right.
The whole scenario of my whole life is lose all the weight, and you're going to feel as good as you can feel. So if this is as good as I can feel, this is kind of scary. This is a really weird scenario. You know what I mean?
That your body just wasn't designed to do a lot of walking.
It's never been.
Because I think, you talked about as a child that you had surgery on your feet, because it's just some kind of genetic situation where like you just walking is a problem for you.
Yeah. So it's a strange thing when you think about it because you don't know how the response. So life gets interesting now. Now you can only work every other day. You got your shoulder blown out. We'll figure it out till December.
Right.
Stay positive though, right? You keep focused. You keep, I get my bike back, get back in the training. Right. I do have the echo, so I'm doing what I can.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The beautiful part is, as nerve-wracking as it can be, mentally, I know I'm okay. Like I'm not in a scenario where I'm really freaked out by like life circumstance, right? I've gotten to a point where I've figured out a few things in life where, we got some rental income coming in, Beth is working, I'm working my part-time job, it's still okay.
Yeah.
So I don't have to freak out, and it's just been weird, man,
Well, I think, a lot of times people talk about like, if you could go back in time, what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self? And one thing that I was really lucky about is when I came in the Navy at 17, I had a chief who I worked for named Joe Cooper, and he gave me a lot of advice, but he was the first person to ever talk about mutual funds and the stock market and how credit is a problem and almost like an evil, because it was almost like on a religious level. He's like, credit is evil, and
how old were you in this?
I was like 17, 18, and Joe Cooper would be talking, and I'd be like, okay, well then, I started sending a little money off to the mutual funds, and I started investing in the stock market. But the biggest advice I could give to a young person is credit is a straight problem, and it's advice that hinders people severely. Like the only reason I can enjoy the retirement life that I have from the Navy, it's not because the Navy gives some like great pension, because they don't, but it's because I don't do credit. Like years ago, I got hip to the fact that don't waste your money on credit, because you're paying, if you're lucky, you got maybe a credit card that's 8% interest, but most people don't have that. You'd have to have great credit to get a credit card like that. Most people are paying 15, 17, up to 30% interest. And this compound interest, you are basically just burning your money, and you fall into these credit holes trying to keep up with the Joneses to get these different possessions. And next thing you know, like you just don't have any money because everything's consumed by credit. And even our founding fathers, guys like Jefferson and stuff, just broke. They were amazing in writing, the Constitution or, the Declaration of Independence, amazing people. But when it came to credit, they were horrible. They were so far in debt, like, they just, just unbelievable. But if you avoid credit, like, for me, like, even in retirement, like I have a 2000 Chevy pickup truck, so it's 20 years old, and I have a 2013 Toyota Prius. Nobody compliments me on my vehicles. Nobody says, "Man, that's a really cool car you got," or "That's a really cool truck you got." It's like, when are you gonna upgrade?
The truck is pretty cool though.
But it's like I don't need to upgrade, because they're fine. They do what I need them to do to get me from point A to point B, and I don't have a debt there. Because if you have a debt there, then you're going further and further in a hole. So don't do credit cards, or if you get a credit card, you make a purchase and then pay it off at the end of the month. Don't run up credit, and try to avoid getting loans for anything. Just if you can't afford the price today, save up your money and buy it. And so the only thing that I did on loan was for my house. So that enables me to live the life that I live. So if I had to talk to an 18-year-old and said, "Man, what's the best advice you can give me?" 2 things: avoid credit, don't run up debt, and even more important, take care of your health. And we'll be talking about that later, about some of the health challenges we both deal with, and why we are where we are. And so because
the credit thing is so crazy, Saad, because I've run both gamuts of it, right? When I was 18, I got a Circuit City credit card, and I think I spent like $2,500 instantly, and it was insane. I don't even understand. It was just a car stereo, right?
Yeah.
But the car was I couldn't afford the car, and it was new.
Yeah.
And then I get the $2,000 car stereo debt, and then you get a year push on the interest, and then it all hits, and you ain't made no payments, and I'm still playing that game, and I'm 47.
Sure. Right.
So this started at 18, and I've probably paid off 50 credit cards from here till there, and I don't think I've made but one late credit card payment ever, and that was when I went away for some training or something, and my mom was in charge of my money back then. It was like 93.
Right.
So I had like one late credit card. So I'm pretty careful about my bills.
Right. Yeah.
Real careful. But I play the game, man. So you think it's the game, and then you get caught every once in a while. And the game is, okay, I'm gonna go buy, we'll say, a jacuzzi. This is what I did this year. Yeah. I buy the jacuzzi for $4,000. You put it on a year interest card. There's no interest for a year. At the end of the year, it's 24%. So you use the jacuzzi all year long, and then you scramble the last 4 months to make 4 big payments and finish it off, and you're good. Right. And usually it works.
Right.
And
but very few people do that.
That's the game, though. So the game is, I play like a $4,000, $2,000 game every year on a credit card, and most years I make it.
Yeah.
But sometimes the second part of the game, round 2, is December comes up and you ain't got that you ain't paid shit, and your credit score is now sitting at like a 653. You need a good credit score to go get the next card to cover the game you just played last year, and you can't quite do it. And your credit score, if you go and start making the phone calls, it goes like this. One phone call means you're not in the game at all. So if you know the game and you understand where you're at, and you owe 2, and you know the credit score, because I'll tell you at the bank now what it is, it's 655. You got to come to the table with some cash. Now you got to call your friends, and it's got to be quick, or else you're going to get 26% interest on $2,000. So now you need a quick loan for like $300-400 to go put a little bit down on the original principal, and then so it gets to be so stupid over like a $4,000 loan. You're calling somebody looking like a dumbass for $500 on a Friday, because on Tuesday it's going to go through because you're not playing the game right. You're right. You should have just saved up the money. Yeah. Kept the Prius. Right. Got father-in-law's car that you can't get rid of no matter. That's what you didn't say. There's no way to get rid of that truck. Yeah. Sure. There's no way to get rid of this truck. It's a badass truck. So he ain't getting rid of the truck. Right. So you're kind of like stuck where you know where you want to be. You're comfortable, and you're like sort of like a Yoda in a way. Like you don't see yourself as Yoda, but a lot of people see you as like a Yoda. Like you're the king at the school, and like you help a lot of people out, and we're always talking. And when I talk to you sort of in a relaxed way, people aren't used to seeing that. Like they look at me a little differently when I start talking to you at the parties, and I show up with the fucking tomahawks and shit, and doing my thing. You know what I mean? But people have a lot of respect for you, man. Like when you show up for a dinner with somebody, that's a big thing, man. People respect you a lot. So to get advice, when you tell people that, right? Like when you start talking, you're telling funny stories the other day with Trey, right?
Yeah.
And I'm listening to these stories laughing because this is like a student on the side having dinner, asking you about your training. Like, when did you get tapped out last? When did that happen? And then you're telling the stories, and now Trey's looking at you like, what, that happened in practice? And you're like, well, yeah, no one really knew. And then I fucking figured it out, and I go, hey, you got me, you know what I mean? And that hadn't happened in so many years. It was foreign to me. So this is amazing. So now we're all sitting at dinner, but that's the atmosphere you provide, right? You're a Yoda for a reason, because you ain't got a problem being humble. Like, well, this is part of it. Yeah. This is, you can't be in this place in life where people put you on a pedestal.
Right, because that's not my goal.
But people do put you on a pedestal. So you got there by being the man you are, and a little bit of like money advice is one thing, but to live the humble life and just not engage is the other thing. I try to play like the credit card roulette Vegas game. It's been going on since '92.
Right.
It's 2020. I'm just telling you now, I'm about to be off it again, and then I just owe a little bit on my car. Yeah. But it would be really nice if I could have had 50 grand saved up in an account. That's no big deal if I want to go do whatever. Yeah. You know?
Because, like, when I opened my business, you know, I didn't get a small business loan. It was just all out of my investments. And so, you know, like, if you avoid the credit, you know, invest, you know, in mutual funds, and just do it long term. You know, you can find money to throw at these investments, but you know, it's easier just to, you know, set an allotment. In the military, we call it an allotment. You know, just direct deposit. You know, like a direct debit. You know, like from your account every month. You just invest and just let that grow, because the stock market, just like the real estate market, it's going to take some dips, but it's going to keep going up. You know, like eventually, you know, like over a 20, 30 year period, like you're gonna do okay, you know. So, you know, it's
and it's almost easier. It's almost easier to know that's where you're putting your money, and you're not thinking about it much.
Exactly, because
that's the key. It's
don't make it a month-to-month decision.
Out of sight, out of mind.
So even if it's a small amount, let that grow, and it's the whole concept of compound interest. Because sometimes I would help sailors on the ship, you know, who were having financial problems, and like I would look at their credit mess, and like they were racking up $400, $500 a month in debt just based off the interest rate on what they owed. You know, like, not counting, you know, like, so you would give them $500 to all your creditors, and that's just break even. Like, you know, it's not even paying down your debt.
Yeah, that's insane. That sounds so scary to me. How does that even happen? Man. I mean, how do you even handle something like that?
Usually, like, when you hear an advertisement that says, oh, no credit, bad credit, we don't care, we'll give you a loan, that means you getting a doozy. You're going to get a doozy interest rate that a reasonable person who understands finance would never go into such a deal. You know, I mean, even like when you get a mortgage loan, you know, like if you look at like every month, say if you're paying, you know, say your mortgage is $1,000 a month, chances are maybe $400 or $500 of that is going towards the principal, and the other another $400 or $500 is going towards interest, and then the other $200 might be going towards insurance and your property taxes. You know, but like it's just, you're like, man, over half your money is just going towards interest.
And that's if you're lucky. That's on the halfway part of the loan. Sure. In the beginning, it's like 90% is interest, and then it just scales down and back up the other way as you go. Mm-hmm. That's why they say, like, if you make and I did this at my house, and this is part of the reason I'm able to be right now without a job and still have income, is because I would make an extra $100 a payment on the principal every month. Yes. And I did that for 7, 8 years, 9 years. And then when I refied my house, like 7, 8 years into owning it, I refied it down from like 5.3 to 3.2, and then into a 15-year loan. Right. And then the payment it went up like $300 a month, went up. Right. But I got my house down to like a 15-year, and then we started paying it down big time. and then I met Beth,
Mm-hmm.
and we lived at my house for a year, and then I lived at her house for a year,
Right.
and then we got married, and then the third year we decided to go to Texas, and we sold her house.
Right.
In the 7 years she had her house, it went up so much money in value.
Right.
We were able to take those proceeds and come over and pay my house off.
Right.
So then we had a cleared house in Florida that was rented out.
Yeah.
So between two of us being kind of on point and having the ability to be on our own and have houses, when we merged, we had a house paid off at like 45.
Right.
Like I was 40, she's 45, I was 47. So that puts us in a scenario where I can go a year without working or make $85 a day and still contribute, because there's other, and not die financially is my point.
Yeah.
You know, so a little bit of good decisions, even though I'm still playing silly credit games, but I do play the game to win.
Sure.
It is a game, but I'm playing it to win it.
Yeah. And as long as you know the rules and
Yeah.
the pros and cons of it.
I haven't paid too much interest in the last like 13 years. I haven't paid much interest at all. But that game gets stressful. It gets crazy. You know, it's not even worth it. I think when I look at your game, because there's no inherent stress, and you're not even worried about the shit. Like I don't even know the stuff I was buying 10 years ago in this way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a gun. Sometimes it's whatever it is. It's just a game I'm playing with credit.
Right.
It's strange.
Yeah, it's like, like people mistakenly get involved in credit, and then they'll take a loan for the max of what the lender is willing to give them. Yeah, like I think
that whole
like
savings and loans all through the 2000s.
Buy a house
Yeah.
here in Texas, like my lender was willing to give me like I don't know, it's like maybe a $600,000 loan. So I could have got a $600,000 house, and a $600,000 house in Texas is
It's
like
a lot.
it's like the Don Corleone estate.
Yeah,
you're
it
thinking,
is.
you hanging out with the Trumps and the Rockefellers, you're like you're doing really good in Texas with a $600,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of house.
But I found a house that met more than what I needed.
Yeah, your house is huge.
For $185,000.
That's what I mean. Our house is
So,
182.
The key is live below your means, and then you're not forced to do extra just to pay your creditor. So live below your means, and if you can do it without getting credit, that's the way to go.
And what's interesting is we're talking like we're not gurus, but like we're not people who are having fun, and that's far from the case.
Right. Yeah.
Because we were spending $300 a month in ammo.
Sure.
At one point,
right.
and I've seen you get really nice pieces when you want
Right.
whatever you wanted. You've gotten whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
So, he's able at 52 to be able to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And this is kind of weird because we're in the same age bracket. We're in the same category. We've sort of, there's nothing that would change much in my life if I was a zillionaire. I would just have a range at my house.
Right. Yeah.
Like you would go outside to the range.
Sure.
I would just maybe buy the range.
Yeah. Might have more toys.
Yeah, but it would be the same stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
It would just be the same. I would just do more of the same. I would just have a better bike. I would
Instead
just
of
ride more.
An AK-47 made at the Sega factory, I would get the one that was made by Kalashnikov himself.
Yeah,
right. Kalashnikov put this together.
Right. Like whatever it would be the same.
Yeah, it'd be
stuff.
the same stuff.
It would be this. You would take your son shooting. He would bring his friends.
Right.
You would get the extra hour at the side. Okay, we go to the range. Saad gets an hour where we can shoot this target, and everyone runs up, and we're running around with guns, and it's crazy. And then Saad disappears for 20 minutes at the end of it, and comes back, and I got 3 more hours, and we're like, no, okay, we're sitting the fuck down. This ain't ending.
Yeah.
This ain't ending.
Yeah.
So then we sit down for 3 more hours, and then so there's no hesitation for the fun.
Right.
We're going to Arizona next month. We're doing whatever we want to do.
Right.
It's within reason, right?
Yeah.
So, if you respect your money and you go to work, that's one of the main keys. No one's missed a day of work.
Right.
I've been off this year, but that's other than that, I've never missed a day of work since I'm like 13.
Mm-hmm.
So, other than injuries and stuff. So, and no one's missed work forever. Right. Key, never stop working.
Right.
Figure it out. You knew the day you were retiring, you had something going the next day.
Right. Because I had formed my company and opened the school like almost 3 years before my
your
retirement
anniversary
date.
was this week, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, September 19th was the 4-year anniversary of having the school opened. And we opened it up, on September 19th, 2016. So we've been in business for 4 years, but we was in business for 2 years before I retired. So like the school was up and running and profitable before I walked out of the Navy and,
wow,
called it quits. So, that's been my transition. I knew that I needed something to do, just to keep me busy. And I just go to work with my wife every day, which is really cool. And then, I do what I love. Like me coming in today and training, it wasn't work for me. It was, I'm preparing, for the Pan American Championships, but I love sparring. I love training jiu-jitsu, sharing ideas, and I genuinely, enjoy the company of my students and other jiu-jitsu practitioners. Even when I go to the tournament and I'm lined up to compete against some guy from somewhere in the world who's going to be really good, like, it's not work for me. This is what I love doing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, we're going to play a chess match, except instead of with pieces on a board, it's going to be on a mat with our human bodies, and then we're going to play this out, and then when it's over, we're going to embrace each other, and we'll probably be friends for life afterwards.
You're very much like me in the way too, and this is just an observation on my end. So if you don't agree with this,
right.
I think we're very regimented. Mm-hmm. You like to know you're doing this at this time, and like when we were doing the shooting so regular, we were going to be at this. Okay, we're going to do it on Thursday. We would talk on Sunday, and you're like Thursday 2:30.
Right.
My son might be off work, or I can't even say I'm going to do anything Thursday until he gives me the hint.
Right.
We're open from 11 a.m. until 7 p.
Mm-hmm.
And then we know it's a 9-hour window that I'm waiting for a text, and that we can go at 20 minutes anytime.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how that had to work out, because it was so. It's always oriented to the kid. Yeah. Which it should be. Right. So that is the main reason we go, main thing. And then me and you had a separate day for us.
Right. Yeah, because I would go every Tuesday with my son, and then every Thursday you and I.
So then it turned into like, Saad's doing the 3 days a week thing, and then just shooting on Tuesdays and thing, and then we start the podcast, and now it's a Sunday. Okay, I can do it on Sundays, and then you tell me 3 weeks ago we can't do Sundays.
Sure.
Let's switch it to Saturday. Right. So everything's like a regimen. I see that you like the comfort. Well, the money comfort's the same thing.
Right.
The money's going to disappear. What was the guy's name you were saying?
Oh, Joe Cooper.
Joe Cooper's advice when you're 17, you're sitting at a paycheck. It's like when I talked to Bob Catano. Mm-hmm. It's the same advice. Yeah, sure. I had this old gypsy drunk I used to hang out with that was a teacher. I get my first paycheck. He goes, Robert, we're not even going to go home. We're going straight to my guy at Valak. You're going to meet my guy at Valak. And I go, what are you talking about, Bob? He goes, we're going right now. He's drinking wine on the way home from school. We go to the guy at Valak. He's in the dude's office drinking the wine. Sure. This is when I'm full-on alcoholic. This is 15 years ago.
Sure.
So he takes me in, and I sign up on my first paycheck. Before I even saw a paycheck, for X percent to come out, I think it was $75 a paycheck. That account, through the last 15 years, I bumped it up a few times over the years. I think at some point before all this craziness hit, and I don't even look. Right. It's the same thing. Right. I invest the same. I think I was at like 60, 70 grand. And that's in like 15 years of steady, not even looking one time. I never called my advisor. This may sound stupid to everybody. I never called him once. I never asked what was going on. Right. I bumped it up a few times when I had the option at the beginning of the year. Sure. I would get a raise, and I would raise it up that much. And I would take the same money I made 15 years ago the whole time. And that's how I got a little bit too at 47, where I'm not freaking out ever. I'm a teacher. I've never made a lot of money ever.
Sure.
Ever.
Yeah. Because, we're very similar in that, because in the U.S., although we value teachers in the military, and we say a lot of wonderful things about them, we just don't pay either one very well. Like we spend a lot of money on our defense budget on weapon systems,
and there's a lot of money spent on education.
Yeah, but nobody in the military is making a fortune. And same thing with education. Like, we're like, oh, education is so important, but we don't pay our teachers very much at all.
Let me ask you this, and this is just me observing, right? So, me and you are the same in a lot of ways. We like the guns, we like the security, we like to know how to do things like cover our ass, we like to save money, we like to make sure the money's secure. This is all like stuff a lot of people can't do.
Right.
but I think it's because we're a little bit paranoid. I think we like to know where the money is. We like to know it's going somewhere where it's growing. We're not actually spending it. We think we're doing well by ourselves this way. It's a mindset. If I'm not treating myself well and insulating myself for the future, I'm going to be a little nervous. I am not going to be ready for the future. I'm scared of not being ready for the future. If you don't notice, I talk about the future all the time. All the time I'm talking about the piece of river property, where I'm going to be. It's always the plan. And that's because I want to know what I'm doing now.
Right. Because if you don't plan, then the future just sort of happens to you. If you don't plan for the future, and you say, hey, I want to be here. If you don't know where you want to be and you don't make any plans, then, it's like, well, I might still be alive in 10 years, but no idea where I'll be. Where, so in my planning, I know it's not just for me, but I know, my wife, Sway, depends on my good planning, my good decisions, my children, a lot of people depend on me to make sure that I provide shelter, put food on the table, and, help give them opportunities. And, so I take that responsibility very serious. So I can't just live willy-nilly, and so, but that's been something that I've been doing since, I was 17, 18.
It's so strange to me, man, because sometimes people see me and and then they see me with Beth, and then they go, how did you figure that out?
Right.
And I go, well, it's not like luck or nothing. It's like you got to have certain things that are going on right. Like if I don't have a job teaching in a house, she's not talking to me long.
Sure.
So if I'm drinking every night, and when she comes over to the house and we start hanging out and she notices I'm pounding 40 beers every night, we're not hanging out seriously every night.
Yeah.
So there's no, if I'm a drunk, 8 years, by the way, we'll talk about that in a little bit. 8 years not drinking. So if Beth meets me when I'm drinking, in 100,000, not 100, but a bunch of girls met me when I was drinking, and none of them necessarily, the ones that I should have been wanting were going for it, because I was such a bad drunk, and the ones that would, I was always trying to fix, and then they're using me up constantly, and then nothing's working out right. So if you don't have the homeostasis in life, you ain't hanging out with Sway, and you ain't hanging out with Beth, and you ain't having this congruity of life, which somehow in the later 40s starts meshing into a plan.
Sure.
So everything else seems like winged, like I've never planned anything, but I know I'm scared to lose money, so I better do this. Bob told me to. Sounds good.
Sure.
Bob's an old man that seems to know what's going on. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like, what I think a lot of people don't want to accept is the decisions you make have consequences. It's like, it's almost like a mathematical formula. You make a decision, there's going to be an outcome. And sometimes the outcome is not desirable. And sometimes that decision is, I used to work for a master chief. I won't say his name. But he used to talk about what a wonderful judge of character he was. But he said, but he had also mentioned that he'd been married and divorced 6 times. And I'm thinking, you may not be the good judge of character you think you are.
He might not even know what English means.
Or maybe, he was the common denominator, and, these 6 wives, just realized after whatever period of time, you're just not a good guy to be with. So if you're not, making yourself a good man or a good woman, you're gonna have some bad outcomes, and you're gonna be like, oh, woe be unto me, $50,000 in debt, or $100,000 in debt, and I'm on my 4th or 5th wife. Woe be unto me! I've just had a bad deck of cards dealt to me. When really, you've just made a bunch of bad decisions.
Snowballing, and bad after bad after bad, huge snowball crap.
So, but let's transition to what the other piece of advice that we would give a young person. Stay away from credit. We've done that, but take care of your health, because you only get one body. You only get one body, and Stomp is celebrating 8 years of being sober. Matter of fact, we went to dinner last night, celebrating 8 years of being sober, which is an incredible accomplishment. Because if it was easy, everybody would do it. Everybody that was addicted to drugs or addicted to alcohol would just quit. Be like, just quit. But it's not easy, and you managed to overcome it. Not only did you overcome an alcohol addiction, but you went from being almost 600 pounds to where now you're like in 280.
Yeah,
like you're a small guy now. Like
I'm sort of on the normal side. It never would have happened without the alcohol.
Right.
And for me, the alcohol is like your boy was talking about finances, like religion, and it very much is to me like a devil and a evil thing.
Yeah.
So I was a drinker that drank every night from the time I was probably like 18, 17.
Right.
When I got to the point where I could get it and my mom wasn't really in charge of me no more, even though I lived at her house, I was doing what I wanted to do.
Right.
And I was drinking every night back then, and I started bouncing at 18, 19, and then you're getting paid for it.
Sure.
And I did that for 12 years, and that's 30 hours a week, and I had a lot of problems with school, and I would only go for 3 classes, and I would work several jobs, and bouncing was one of them, and driving pizza, and I was a very efficient alcoholic, but I would drink so much volume that it was just crazy. And even this is in high school, I would get paid to like slam alcohol, and it just got to the point where, 20 years later or whatever, I'm like 30 years old, like 8 years ago, what am I, I'm 47, so I'm 40 years old, and I'm at work, I'm a teacher, I've been drinking heavy every day forever, forever, every day. I go to sleep at time. I had rules. I would go to sleep at like 11, get up and be pretty good at work. Like a friend of mine would remind me if I smelled like alcohol too much in my breath. I had rules about it. I would say
people that would enable you basically.
Right. He would tell me it would like once or twice. I would hear it. This was I was a normal, some people would call me like controlled chaos.
Right.
There was nobody putting the brake on nothing, dude.
Sure.
Nobody. I was absolutely the captain of my ship. I hung out with drunks. I was a drunk. I was the most productive drunk out of all the drunks I knew.
Right.
I went to work every day. And long story short, I spent a month at school with pancreatitis and finally fell off my porch after having it for a month.
So this caused you to break both the rules we would tell a young 18-year-old, which is watch your finances, because alcohol ain't free.
Well, no, I was still saving the money.
Right, yeah.
I was still, in my mind, I was all great because I was still doing the money out of the bank. I was still paying everything. I was still solo.
But you're still spending money on alcohol that could have been spent on something else.
All the time. When I think about it in hindsight, let's not even talk about details.
Sure.
The end story is I end up going to the hospital 4 days into detox, and my heart stops off and on for 7 days in ICU, and they would give me medicine and shock it back, or get it going, not shock it back, but the medicine would get it working again. And then 7 days my heart was offline and got back online, and I have never had anything since ever, 8 years ago. But here's the problem. So you spend a whole life being the party, and that's what I was. And I still have an insane personality. And I'm not sure exactly what it's all happening. And then you're 600 pounds, and then you start trying to fix everybody, but you're never fixing yourself. And it turns into a whack-a-mole, where you got all these fucking people in your life that you're always trying to be the man, but everyone's sort of like, but you're just surrounding yourself with bullshit. So over the years, I've learned through not drinking, 8 years, not to be around anybody stressing me out. Like if Beth was stressing me out about alcohol, she'd be gone. This is the number one priority over everything. The alcohol is my number one denominator. Did I drink last night? Sometimes I had dreams for years that I drank. I'd wake up and go, holy shit, I got fucked up last night. And then I'd...
I realized it was just a dream.
That was a dream, dude. I'm straight. Nothing happened. I can smell it now. I can feel drunk now. All I have to do is imagine it. I was drunk all the time. And there's only one friend that ever said anything about it. Everyone else checked it off. I was control chaos here. I was the dude. This dude doesn't stop working. He doesn't go anywhere. He fucking doesn't party until he's done. He's done at 11. But I would drink 30, 40 beers in 4 hours. I would just pound whiskey. Like, you couldn't imagine the intake.
Right.
So this all turns into a culmination where I got to spend a whole entire year as a mummy in my house, not leaving. I'm on like some barbiturates and heavy Thorazine, basically a substitute for Thorazine. So I'm on like serious medicine after I detox, man. I'm on the craziest shit. Like 6 months, I'm a zombie. I never left my house for a year other than work. So there's a whole year where you got to adjust to everything. You're like a baby.
Right.
You're a grown adult baby. You can't even leave the house. People bring you food.
Right.
The dude at the store would bring me chew for a year. Drop it off at the house, just give him cash. Like a drug deal in the fucking in the alley. But it's for chew.
Right.
So I wouldn't have to go to a store.
Sure.
That's how kind he was. He saved me.
Right.
I didn't have to go to a convenience store for a year because of this dude. He watched me buy alcohol for 7 years off him. He knew I was going to die.
Right.
He never, when I quit, he was so happy.
Yeah.
So happy. So my mom has to deal with this the whole time. So Beth's never seen it.
Right.
Not even you've never seen it.
Right. Because if you were still an alcoholic,
I'm dead.
There would be no Beth.
There's nothing.
You and I wouldn't be friends.
No podcast.
You'd be lucky if you was even alive.
There's no way I'd be alive.
You know, like if you look at like people that live to be 100, none of them, absolutely zero, are alcoholics or 500-600 pounds. Like they're never 500-600 pounds.
Never.
You know, like
Very few, very old, very fat people.
If you're 500 or 600 pounds, you can just about guarantee yourself you're not going to live a long life.
And it's going to be a horrible one too.
Right. It's going to be really bad.
Yeah.
And then you're an alcoholic on top of that. Like you're just on the fast track to death.
Bro, and here's the hard part, right? Because you think you love yourself.
Sure.
But when I look back at it,
right,
I'm a fucking mess in so many ways. And then I get my boy Chris Long. I'm trying to help out a few friends that have some PTSD, and somewhere down the line, he's like, well, dude, what about yours?
Right.
And I go, what are you talking about? And he goes, dude, there's no way you don't have it, dude. You were 600 pounds. You're like the craziest dude at work. You know when a kid's going to do something like 30 minutes before it happens, you can smell a fight from like a mile away, dude. Right. You know exactly what's going on all the time. It's because you watched everything. You got PTSD. And then we start talking, and it's all about like some shit with my dad. I fought my dad when I was 12. He was huge. I threw him down some steps. And I got the shit beat out of me when I was 12 by two bigger dudes. They almost killed me. And then I got scared of everything and started carrying knives and shit. Right. And that was when I was 12.
Yeah.
So this is
and
like...
here you are today.
This makes me feel safe.
Yeah, sure.
This makes me feel safe.
Right.
So this might not make no sense to nobody.
Right.
But this is my little hole with my little thing. If I get too scared at the front door, I run in here. You know, this is my little whoopee. Right. It's like a fucking security blanket. Right. But whatever. Yeah. Fuck you. I don't care.
Yeah,
this is what makes me tick.
Sure.
So this is part of me.
Nice.
So you get the tomahawk when I go to the bar. I'm not gonna get fucked with at a bar.
Sure.
Guess who's fucking with me? Nobody.
Right.
Nobody.
Yeah.
And I portray that. It's the goatee. It's the Mr. T look. I'm scared of everything. So you might not be scared of everything. I'm scared of everything. I never stop looking at people come through the door. I look at everybody. I'm nervous of everybody. I think everybody's got something ready for me. Right. I think everybody can hurt me, and I know they can.
And you trace this back to the
my buddy,
with your father, and
my
then
buddy
when you was jumped by some other people.
Dude, ever since then, dude, there's like two little things that happened at the same year.
Right.
When I was 12, it was the same year. Wow. It was like I'm not even sure what happened first or after. Right. I'm not sure if my dad got ended because of what happened first. Right. I'm telling you this, nobody's ever gotten a good piece of me since. I mean, I have fucking destroyed people when I get scared. Right. Yeah. And I have seen a lot of shit. And I backed up to a wall in a million fights at a bar and said, damn, this is insane I'm watching in front of me. But there's a wall behind me, and I've watched chaos for so many times. Right. I for some reason, when you get into those stressful situations, you feel so much calmer. Right. The job selection alone is one of the criterias for PTSD. He's like, list all your jobs you've ever had. And I start listing them. And from the time I was 14, I was working at a veterinarian putting out dead dogs every day of my life. I put a dead dog into a freezer at 14 years old.
Right.
I'm dealing on dead dog duty for 4 hours, 3 nights a week. At 14,
It's a tough job.
the stress levels were insane.
Yeah. Right.
And then you're doing the clippings and dude. Every job I've ever had has been high intense stress. Driving pizza is extreme fun if you're a high stress person. If you like to go fast,
Right.
and I'm sort of like a go fast dude. I like to do shit quick. Yeah. You ain't never seen me back out of nothing at the gym. If I can go, I do everything. Sure. It's not from lack of trying. It's a weird mindset. It's why the riding the bike is so important to me. Right. I can the next hill.
That's awesome.
I kind of need that.
You're on a fast track between obesity and alcoholism to death, and then your body breaks down. I think you said you fell off your porch or something, and then you end up in the hospital
for
detox.
I fell off the porch at work from pancreatitis. I go into the hospital to detox for 4 days, and then the heart shuts down. I stay in the house for a year. I get out of that. I don't talk too much about this. I spend like 2 years on Plenty of Fish being a total whore. I mean, I switch addictions. I go from drinking to women.
Right.
I mean, insanity. I run Plenty of Fish.
Sure.
I'm dating like 6 nights a week. Easy.
Nice.
Easily.
But you're off alcohol at this point.
Totally.
But you're into...
So I spent $25,000 1 year on dates.
Wow.
25 on like 70, 80 dates.
And then you get that out of your system, and then
the second year of that, I just kind of like hang out with 7 chicks for a year.
Nice.
And I keep hitting up people and dating on the side, on the line stuff. And that's a crazier deal than I've ever done in my life. Insane. Sure. And I don't even talk about that much because Beth don't even know like the details.
Right.
The whole time through that, I'm talking to Beth on the same thing online, and she's not giving me no time.
Right.
And then one day she gives me a little bit of time because I make fun of Han Solo. This is weird, but she's into Han Solo, and I figure it out by her pictures. And then she starts responding back, and I get a date.
Wow.
So I go on the date with Beth. You want to hear this? This is crazy. I go on the date
with Star Wars got you into your marriage.
I tell her.
Awesome.
I tell her that Han Solo needs to pay Chewie the child support money. It doesn't matter if it didn't work out. Chewie still has the baby. And she tells me that Chewie needs to stay out of the goddamn casinos, that I'm paying the money with that baby money. And so I get a date, and finally she's talking back and forth. It took me 5 months of hitting her up, and she would say hi back, but nothing else.
Sure.
And then I make fun of Han. I get the date.
Wow.
I go on the date. She blows my mind, sort of. I come back from the date at like 3 in the morning, go to a different chick's house. Talk to this chick for 2 seconds about Beth. And this chick looks at me and goes, you need to call everybody now. And I go, what are you talking about? She goes, you like this girl. You don't like nobody. I go, what do you mean? I just met her.
Right.
She goes, you're going to be fucked. Like in a month, she's going to find out what's going on your side, and then everything's over.
Right.
You're going to be asked out. No Beth.
Right.
And I do the math, and she's right. 1,000% right.
Yeah.
And I make 6 phone calls that night.
Right.
At like 3 in the morning.
You break up with all these girls.
All of them. That night. And I told Beth the next day. And she goes, you're crazy. I don't even want to know you, really. Right. I don't even know you. What are you telling me? Sure. I go, I'm telling you I'm talking to nobody else ever again but you.
Right.
Until it works out. Because otherwise I'm fucking around. There's no reason to. I'm trying to get to know you.
Nice.
And she's got to go to a New Kids on the Block concert, right? Wow. So she disappears to the New Kids on the Block concert for a weekend, and we talk all weekend on the phone. And she comes back. And then we've never been outside of each other's arms, right? And then
awesome.
2 weeks into that, I tell her, when we getting married? And she goes, I'm never marrying nobody.
Right.
And I go, well, that sucks. We got to break up. And she goes, what are you talking about? And I go, well, I'm definitely getting married, and most likely to you. You're who I'm dating. I wouldn't be bringing this shit up if I didn't think it was you.
Yeah.
And she goes, listen, maybe at some point in the future, maybe at some point, possibly I get married again, but I doubt it. But if you need to hear that to feel a little better, a little secure about it, maybe, possibly, I'll get married someday.
Sure.
She's like super hardcore chick, right? She's like army chick, badass, like 5'10".
Right.
I'm trying to lock her down hard, right? She's got a good career. She's hot. She's super sweet, dude.
Yeah.
And that's what I need more than anything is somebody who understands this.
Sure.
And this.
Right.
And all the weirdness. And she does. She bought me my first custom, bro. Like before Beth, there was no customs.
Right.
There was no store.
Right.
There was no idea of it.
Right.
There was no one saying, dude, that's kind of a weird idea. Might as well try.
Sure.
That's all Beth. All the support in the world, everything you see is her. Mm-hmm. It's so crazy.
Right.
So the no alcohol led to the women, led to the non-women, led to Beth. I'm just an addict, dude. So you just keep switching. And then I finally figure out the food thing when my mom dies 2 years ago. And it turns into how to love me better with food. Mm-hmm. And I'm so skewed. But dude, it only takes like 2 years to go from like 444 to 280. That's nothing. Mm-hmm. It's 2 years of making good decisions every day. Planned eating every day. Mm-hmm. And like this weekend I was 279 Friday and 300 last night. That's awesome. So that's 20 pounds in 2 days from carbs.
How'd that happen, dude?
I ate carbs for 2 days.
You know what's crazy about that is
that's how reactive my body is to carbs.
I don't even know if we talked about it, but like I dropped a weight class in the Pan American.
We talked about it yesterday. Yeah.
So what happened was like
cut sugar.
Me and Stomp are on two totally different lifestyle diets. Like
totally separate.
Like I do a pescatarian diet, but it wasn't for weight loss. I just eat seafood and it's a vegetarian diet, and it works for me. But man, I was eating a lot of chocolate. Man, like I am totally down for chocolate. Like
hell yeah,
chocolate and peanut butter.
Who doesn't like chocolate and peanut butter?
So I was eating a lot of desserts, but I could do that on the pescatarian diet. So the tournament came along, and I'm like, yeah, this is the weight I'm at. I'm not losing no weight. I'm signing up. But I had decided maybe a week or two before the tournament was announced to just stop eating chocolate. So I signed up for the heavyweight bracket because I'm at like 205, and I was like, hey, because heavyweight with my gi, my uniform on, I could go to 208. So I was gonna still have to lose a couple pounds. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna continue with this. I'm just giving up sugar. Like I'm not adding sugar or anything. I'm not eating any desserts, nothing. And I had to drop weight classes because I didn't intend on it. But I went in and I got on the scale and I'm like, holy crap! Like today I'm at 193. And like
you can't fight heavyweight at 193.
Where like so. For medium heavyweight, I can be 195 with my uniform on. And your uniform is going to weigh between 3 to 4 pounds. So I'm still going to have to lose another pound or two in the next 2 weeks. But, I'm like, I'm going to have to drop weight classes because I don't want to be, weighing, because I'm losing weight unintentionally. But it's still happening. And so...
That's awesome.
Like, I've never lost this much weight this fast. And you're already talking about a guy that walks 5 to 10 miles a day with his dogs.
And trains a lot.
That trains jiu-jitsu every day because I own my own gym. And usually it's like, I'll lose a pound or two. And, like if I sort of watch what I eat. But now, like, I just cut out sugar and desserts. And the weight just started melting off. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's not even you cutting carbs. That's just sugar.
Yeah.
So like all carbs register as sugar.
Yeah, right.
So all fruits register as sugar.
Right. Yeah.
So if you do what I did, which is because you're doing pescatarian, I'm carnivore.
Right.
I'm carnivore basically 1 hour a day.
Yeah.
I eat 1 hour a day.
Right, because you do that. What's it called? Intermittent fasting.
Yeah. So basically, I go 23 off.
Right.
And 1 on. Nice. It started out as 18 or 16 and 8, so 16 off, 8 on, and then I went to 20 and 4, and now I'm down to like basically I eat for an hour, and then I'm done. But really, it turns into one meal.
Sure.
I eat a real big meal, like a meal for me would be like 1.5 pounds of hamburgers, and 5-6 eggs. Then I'm done. Right. And a bunch of cheese, and mayo. Nice. Then I'm done for the whole day. And what's weird is I'll argue this with anybody. For 3 million years, man, we chased stuff and ate it. Right. And then 200,000 years ago, we started making bread.
Right.
And ain't nobody can bust no one's ass from 200,000 years ago. Every man would destroy us in a fight, most likely.
Sure.
They'd rip our fucking heads off.
Right.
If a guy from 1820 came here 5'8", and you didn't know no judo, and I didn't know no judo,
right,
they'd beat the shit out of us.
Probably. Yeah.
Because they do way more shit than we do.
Right.
And
Much
they're
more active.
Way more active.
Yes.
Because they're hunting and shit.
Right.
Like, we played some football against some Amish people once.
Mm-hmm.
Holy fuck did we get destroyed.
Right.
We're all like badass football players at
right.
our high schools.
Yeah.
We got destroyed by the Amish.
Right.
Because they don't have no fucking power.
Right.
They work in fields all day.
Yeah.
And I can't outwork
Sure.
that fucking guy.
Right.
So when he comes up to tackle us, we're city boys, and they beat
Yeah.
the shit out of us, and they laughed about it.
That's crazy.
They giggled and went back
Right.
to their cows, and we talked about their girls wearing like long skirts and shit, and wondered if they were hot. Right. And that's as our dudes at the hospital getting his fucking leg set because some dude snapped his leg tackling him so hard. That's how hard the Amish played. We were screaming like bitches. So that was just regular people that didn't have power.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude.
So you can't imagine like.
So I think we're designed to go grab a deer,
Yeah.
eat the shit out of it, give it to your kid, give it to your wife, give it what you got left over to the neighbor. They eat what they can.
Right.
They feed you a little bit. That fucking deer's gone in like 8 hours. You hang out for a day, fuck a little bit, chill.
Right.
Don't do much. There ain't no like English to read or nothing. You're not talking about the great. Maybe you're talking about the great
Maybe
stories of the
next
past.
time.
Maybe. Yeah. But then you hang out and
But
kill.
you got to hunt every day.
But then you go
there's
hunt
no
another day.
refrigeration.
Yeah, you are not sitting around having 3 meals a day, bro.
Right. Yeah.
It's impossible.
Right.
I think the average person through history ate 1 meal a day.
Probably
I
so.
think the way I feel, the energy levels I have on 1 meal a day are fucking insane.
Yeah.
I know at 9 in the morning I'm eating fat.
Mm-hmm.
I know it. I can feel it.
Sure.
I know it.
Right.
It passes. Like by 10, I'm not hungry again.
Right.
Sometimes Beth comes home from work. We got to go do shit. Go shopping. Boom, 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 boom. I forgot to eat. It's 9 o'clock. I went 27 hours. I'm like, hold on. How the fuck did I forget to eat?
Right.
I didn't really need to when I ate.
Right.
That's what's crazy. You can actually get past a hunger phase and go right into the next day and not eat again. And you're not even hungry.
Right.
And it's on accident.
More because we're bored than because we're hungry. Or because what we need. It's like you
know
think
what
you're
I-
hungry, but you're bored.
You know what I have learned?
Right.
You can eliminate probably 3/4 of the food in your life and not eat shit and be healthier than you've ever been in your life. And when I talk to my buddy in Africa who can make bricks and carry 6 of them on his head, and he looks at me and goes, "It's so funny when I watch you guys say something hard work.
Right.
There's nobody in my country that would not work you.
Sure.
Every one of us will outwork. My dad will outwork everybody you know.
Right.
There's nobody that will do more labor than my 90-year-old father that you know.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Right.
And he's laughing at us like, because dude, he builds the bricks by hand.
Right.
You know, he's calling me for a malaria shot every 4 months because he doesn't have $30 because it caught him. And he got malaria again.
Right.
Because they all get it repeatedly. They're not eating shit that's healthy, bro.
Right.
So they're totally regimented, small diet. So I have learned how to control myself. Through not drinking is where it started. I learned what was evil to me.
Right.
Sugar is evil.
Sure.
The last 3 days.
Because it has no nutritional value.
It's poison.
Yeah.
The last 3 days I engaged in poison. My body has flared 20 pounds almost. It'll come off in 2 weeks. I'll be back to normal, hopefully. Maybe a week. My body comes back so much faster than it did 2 years ago. So I'm able to do this. I planned this meal. We talked about it a month ago.
Right.
We're going to have fish.
Sure.
We're going to go. In fact, I did Papa Do's 3 weeks ago on a plan because it'd been 3 months.
Yeah,
So I
think we ate together.
I did a pre-meal
Yeah.
on Papa Do's because I'd been thinking about it so hard. I didn't want to cheat and do something stupid.
Sure.
And I came back from that one meal in 2 days. So a whole weekend will throw me off. But I've done it as long as 35 days before. We've gone on the cruise for 2 weeks, and then we were going to another place that month. And I'm like, well, fuck it. I'll just eat carbs the whole time. Put on 60 pounds and took it off. So your body, you need to understand, you can control it.
Yeah.
You can decide to eat a cake and not eat one the next day.
Sure.
Because if I want to eat a cake today, I will. I'm not going to eat a cake because I'm going to get a steak and a potato.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to make a little better choice.
But investing in your health is even better than investing in the stock market or mutual funds or avoiding credit because you only got one body.
Dude, I've done more this year than I could do ever in my life. Just the fitness levels are insane. Like, this carnivore diet's real.
Yeah.
I'm discovering muscles I've never seen ever.
Sure.
I'm
and you don't lift. Like
I'm not lifting a thing.
Weight. Yeah.
This is me riding the bike,
Sure.
and I did lift in my 20s, semi-regular. Like at one point, I benched like 400 pounds once.
Right.
But I was weighing almost 6.
Right.
It's relative.
Sure.
You know, I could probably bench 200 pounds now. I don't know. But who knows?
Yeah.
My shoulder's totally bowed out. But I'm in better shape than I've ever seen. I'm ever. Like,
that's amazing.
It's crazy. And it's just going to get better.
Right.
I have plans on getting down to 230. And then, if I ever do something with the skin, I would imagine I'm about a 210-pound person, dude. And I think I would be insanely big at 210. Dude, 6'3".
Sure.
210, 220 is insanity. So I think anything under 275, I'm golden. Anything under 300, I'm happy. So I'm close to being, like my sister said, you're almost in maintenance mode. And I go, I don't even see that, but I guess I am. I guess I'm close. Maybe 230 is crazy. But my idea is a size 34 waist. When I get there, I'm done.
Nice.
Ride the piss out of the bike. Avoid walking on hard surfaces.
Right.
See the doctors. See what I can do for my feet. If I can't, adjust. Find different work. Yeah. Whatever I got to do. I'll figure it out. I've sort of put myself in a position in life where I don't have to freak out.
Right.
There's no reason to, even though I am, mentally. That's just paranoia and me not thinking I'm okay sometimes. That's my normal state of mind to think I'm not okay. Yeah. I have to remind myself constantly I'm okay. But that's also why I think I do better than most people.
Right.
Because of the deficits of feeling scared all the time. I do have to remind myself I live a great life.
Sure.
I drive a fucking Hemi. I have a beautiful wife, 2 great dogs, friends that I can meet quickly and develop like a lifelong friendship in real short time. Right. This is easy for me to do for some reason. I'm blessed with the ability to have a lot of friends. I live there's no one could be richer than me right now. I don't think. And you too. Yeah. People look at you that way for a reason. Yeah. I think we have a little bit of the same thing going on, not for the same reasons, but because I get respect because of what people seen me go through, and you get respect because of what you've been through, what you've accomplished in the jiu-jitsu and the work field, and it's all about loving ourselves more. And it's all about making sure we're covered and the people around us are covered and everyone's safe. Yeah. It's a big safety network that's the core to us. And it's a little bit of insecurity, I think. The reason we're so careful to be careful is because we're scared a little bit. And I think that's normal. And we've done a real good job of addressing that early on in life and not being afraid to do things. I do shit purposely that's scary. I friend people that are nerve-wracking to other people on purpose. If I think they need a friend, I'm the first one to do that. I'm the first one to try to make someone feel comfortable. Because I've been uncomfortable so much. I feel uncomfortable a lot in my own skin. Not necessarily my skin, but my environment. I get scared easy. So I know what it's like to be the person who's scared. Because I might not look it, but I am the person who's scared.
Sure. And you know, like, I remember my son asking me maybe a year ago. He's like, how are you, Dad? You happy? And I'm like, man, I've never been happier in my entire life. And I can say that today. Like,
it's awesome.
Where I'm at today, what I'm doing, how my life is going, I've never been happier. Like, this is the happiest I've ever been in life. And I'm, like, life is great. My kids are great. My wife is great. Yeah. My business is great. Like.
And we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
You could really be freaking out about a lot of things. Yeah. It's strange, right? Yeah. It's a weird time to be a strong person. It's a good time to be a strong person. It's a good time to do hard things.
And I'm down for turning off the news because during 2 months that we were shut down here in Texas, here in San Antonio, that I had to shut my business down. I started watching the news, and I was like, dude, this is crazy. Yeah. Because, like, man, you'll get depressed watching the news because the news is just.
It's paying you. We're paying them to suck us in the bullshit.
Yeah, like
by watching it, we're paying them to suck us in the nonsense.
I was really stunned because I had stopped watching the news for years, and then I'm watching, and whether I watched CNN or Fox or MSNBC or ABC, the bias was so crazy, and the fear mongering on each side, whether it was a conservative news channel or a liberal news channel, it didn't matter. They were fear-mongering. They was just fear-mongering to a different group of people. And it's like, man, I had to turn the news off. I'm like, dude, I can't be
Smart.
rocking with you guys because
It's smart.
you guys are like selling, you know, their own version of poison and just taking you down a bad road. And I'm not, you know, like, that's why, like, I tell people, like, dude, I never discuss politics and religion on social media because I'm not interested in debating anybody about it. Because, dude, do you? You know, like, whatever your beliefs are, do you. Be happy. I'm happy. I hope everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And, matter of fact, we probably met our hour.
Yeah, man.
We can close out on that. Be happy.
Absolutely,
Don't get sucked into credit and take care of the only body you're ever going to get.
Yeah, love yourself, man.
Yeah,
love
absolutely.
yourself as much as you can. And that's financially, you know, body-wise, food-wise. Figure out what diet works for you. Understand they're not going to work ever all the time. I've had to switch things up. You hear how I change it up all the time. One day I'm doing shakes, one day I'm not, one day I'm doing this. That's because you got to go through levels, man. It's the same way. To figure this out, it means it's never changing. You have to have adjustments and spend time figuring out what's good for you, because that is what makes everyone else around you benefit. You love you the most, and everyone around you gets the best you.
Yeah, because you're always negative. Nobody wants to be around negative.
Yeah, no one wants to see that bullshit.
Be positive.
No. Stomp strong, guys. Have a beautiful day. We will talk to you next week.
Nice.